Hi Simone, thank you so much for taking your time to speak to us today. We're chatting to you on the anniversary of the release of your second book, Draw What You Love, which I have next to me here. Um, Now, obviously, we've spoken many times before, and I've read both of your books. But can you tell some of those watching this video who don't know much about your art or you at the moment? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing at the moment?
Well, I'm Simone, as you said, from Hamburg. And yes, I'm a freelance artist. I worked in the game industry for a long time. And then I sort of thought, no, being a mum, it's easier to sort of do my thing and sort of just explore what I would like to do as an artist. And that's where these books came into play. So it was really very much the beginning of my freelance career.
Great. So, if you can you tell the people watching the video a little bit about the books? Because obviously we have two books with you. We have Sketch Every Day and Draw What You Love. Can you tell those watching the video a little bit about the two books and perhaps how they are different to each other?
Sure. So the first book was me starting on, because I have a Patreon, and my idea was to sort of do a tutorial every Friday. And that's when I was already thinking about this, I was saying, okay, I would like to do all this in a book at the end, because I mean, why waste all this knowledge for something just having tutorials flying around? So I started on the first book on anatomy and character design very much, because I felt like that was where I was most versed, because that's what I've been doing a lot. And as the time progressed, I sort of started shifting the topics, because obviously, well, at some point there's not all that I can say about some topics. And I just really was going with my interests, because I really have always been into background work. And the second book was me basically exploring, okay, I know about lighting and stuff, but how is the real knowledge behind it? How does it technically work and everything? Because I'm a very intuitive artist. So breaking all of this down was basically a lot for me as well, sort of learning about everything and then sort of documenting the process of that learning. So the first book was really mainly character design and anatomy and stuff. And the second one is still a little bit of that first book, because there's just like tutorials flying around, me sometimes doing this, me sometimes doing that, and costume design, stuff like that as well. But just the more in-depth process of backgrounds, that's something I cover more in the second book. So basically they're like built on each other. So both good books go very well together. So there's all the stuff on anatomy is like slightly more in-depth in the second book, or like more, less basic in some points as well. But I don't think that if you get one book or the other, they don't go, that like it don't work for themselves. So it's basically, it's just you need to know at what point you are in your art. Are you more interested in backgrounds? Are you more interested in that? Or like me, do you like both? Do you want to make a full-blown illustration where everything comes together? So yeah, that's what they're about.
That's great, and it's really cool, obviously, that we have them in the slipcase then, because they do work together like that. And having looked at them and obviously read them to a great extent, I can see what you're talking about, and they do fuel each other so well. But you obviously have spent years making the content for these books. Really, I mean, it seems like a collection here that's a certain size, but actually it's years worth of work putting these in. So after all these years of hard work making all this content, how do you feel when you look at the books? Does it feel like years of hard work, or what do you feel when you look at them?
Yeah, well, I feel proud, and it's incredibly proud that I've got like this sort of work captured into these two books. I mean, it's so good to do that, and I feel like I need to do that with my work. And I do lots of illustrations on Instagram, so I always feel the need to sort of, okay, now come on, it's not real if it's not printed. So I'd like to do like a little book of things, even like it's just illustrations of mine or something. But it's like, this is a check mark on like a complete phase, and just sort of having them presented so beautifully is like just icing on the cake, like little prints with them and everything. I mean, I just love this stuff. So it makes it more real. It really does.
Great. I think that's lovely. I mean, it's great that we've been able to help you bring the books to life, but for us, it's great to look at them and see how much value there is in the content. I mean, for an artist using these books, there's so much to learn from them, and we know that there's a great response to your books because we see it on social media. So all these artists, all these budding hobbyists, reading your content. How does that make you feel, knowing you're impacting so many people's lives?
I really, really, really have to thank everybody for posting it on social media, because I see this and I'm like, I don't know if people like the books. I'm not one for reading reviews, because there's always like an awful one which makes me unhappy all day. But just seeing them come in and people looking through them, talking about them, or even like some people also do it just like, today I'm going to draw and I'm going to use Simone's book and to help me along. I've seen that so much, and that's so lovely, because then it's like, okay, this is a book which is really something you use, because I have talked in one of the books about like how you get sketchbook and then you don't want to use it because it's so beautiful and mint. And I was like, disrespect the sketchbook, break it a little bit, make it like scrunch up the paper. No, well, don't scrunch up the paper because it'll make it harder to draw, but just sort of spill stuff on it, just sort of to lose the fear of it and use it. And all my books look used, so I'm so happy when people do that. So that's just lovely.
That's good. Oh, we love that as well. It's an important part of making books, obviously, to know that you're helping artists find their way, as they develop as an artist. But what about yourself? I mean, obviously, there's a couple of years between your two books. How do you feel you have changed as an artist between your first book and your second book?
I feel like I've grown a lot, because I'd never imagined these books making me so much better. So that I feel like that was something, because obviously when you start off as an artist, you have a learning curve, which is rather steep. And then you sort of settle in at some point somewhere for yourself. I mean, obviously that's not for everybody, but I felt like that for me. I didn't see that steep a learning curve in that. And after that, it went up again, because I was so working on stuff so in depth and sort of making myself familiar with concepts and really understanding stuff. So that was such an upgrade for myself as well, just to sort of, because I mean, everybody knows this, like you're sort of trying to teach maths to somebody else, but you really are the one learning it on the way even more. So that's something which I really feel has changed me. And when in the first book, I was still very much focused on character stuff, and I had my kid then, so I was really focused on doing stuff very, very quickly, and that was just basically doing sketches and character art and basically no color. And I feel like I've really leveled up on the color department, so that makes me proud.
That's good. Oh yeah, and I love that, and you can see that again from between the first book and the second book with the more background. You can see how color is sort of worked more into it. Like how do you start the process of putting down your tutorials? Because I know as an artist, when you've spent years developing as an artist, you do so many things intuitively. You do them almost without thinking, because it's a second nature to you. How do you then break that down to try and explain it to someone practically?
Well, it's not that easy, and I really struggle with that myself sometimes, like having just to get like rewinding stuff, what you know. And I don't think I always do that perfectly, but I do my best trying. And it's just really sort of going through all the steps in detailed manner, and depending on what you're trying to explain, just breaking it down like into bits, like sort of deconstructing stuff very much. So I feel that's how I basically go around it. And the topics, they just came from my patrons in a way, because I was like, people like, I really don't understand how this and this works. And that was basically how, because I was jumping on the topics all the time. So that was always just somebody giving me a new input to say, okay, I really don't understand that. And I was like, yes, how do I do this? And then just sort of figuring that out. And it's like going back and forth, just trying to put everything down. Does it make sense? And then people also gave me feedback. So that's also something. It was just a lot of back and forth. And yes, that's basically how I did it.
Well, we really benefit from it. I mean, obviously, you said you're not perfect at it, but as someone who tries to draw myself, going through your books, the way you explain things is really helpful. I love the sort of relatively short format tutorial where you're focusing on something quite specific. I think that's really super value, and I think that's what is so special about your two books, that sort of being able to think about it in that way.
I also remember a lot about how my art teachers used to teach me stuff, because that's true, that I was like, they sometimes, it just came in as like, okay, let's draw over this. How is this a problem? What are the volumes and stuff? So just basically remembering that early process of where I had my click moments, where I was like understanding. So it's basically me figuring out my artist journey backwards, something like remembering steps, which really helped me. And also lots of advice. Like over the years, I've gotten advice from so many artists, from so many things. So that's also always my learnings. Feel like I put stuff in there which I would have wished people told me like along the way, or they did tell me as well. So sometimes it's credit to somebody else in that case, but I'm just like sharing it with the world. Like, that's, yeah. But it's always this, looking for little truths in art, which sort of help you nail down that topic.
No, that's really good, and it I think that enthusiasm for the topics comes out in the book really nicely. It's a very warm way of approaching it, because you can feel, the process that you've gone through is so helpful to the processes that people reading the book go through. So that's really good. I mean, we've talked quite a lot about what you've done in the recent years and how these books came together, but obviously we've talked also about the development between the past two books. What does the future hold for you? What do you want to do next? What do you want to work on in the future?
Oh, that's so hard, because I really, all my life, I didn't have goals. I just want to draw. And that's still the case. I still don't have this like vision. Okay, this at some point I'm going to be at Disney and I'm going to be an artist there or something. I never had that. It's just like sort of like step by step. I like, would be nice to do. This would be nice to do. And so I'm like, I wouldn't mind having like an own children's book at some point, and I'm sort of working on that this year maybe. But yeah, I feel like I'm at the moment, I'm very much in an in-between situation and not having a complete plan for it. It's like whatever comes up, that's good for me. I like jumping on. I'm a opportunity jumper. If something comes up, I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds cool. Let's go with this. And I feel like that's actually helped me a lot, because I don't get like big setbacks through that, because I'm not like really, really chasing something really that a big goal which I don't achieve. It's just like, yeah, I want to draw. That's the big goal, and I do that, and I keep going. And sometimes some stuff crops up. I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds like something new. I would love a shop. I would like to have a shop where I've got like little prints and stickers and blah. But I know that I'm not that organized a person, so I'm sort of thinking that might not work as well. So, but I'm like, if there's no jobs, if I don't have anything, then I might focus on that. That's like sort of this. Like this, I always see it on social media. It's so pretty. People's like putting stamps on envelopes and sending them out. Then again, I don't like sending out stuff, so I don't know what my deal is here. So it's like, what comes will come.
That's really nice. I think yeah, you should write an autobiography at some point called Simone Grünewald, Opportunity Jumper. I like that. It's good. Well, Simone, thank you so much for catching up with us today, and congratulations on your two beautiful books. We absolutely love these books, and it's so great for us to be able to hold them in our hands and to have such a great relationship working with you. So thank you for making these books with us. Thank you for speaking to us today. And we all look forward to seeing your shop.
And I thank you. It was wonderful working with you.
Thanks, Simone. We'll speak again soon.